does Goldman Sachs look for specifically when deciding whether to give you an internship interview or not? Hi, I'm Peter, and I'm a former Goldman Sachs TMT investment banker and venture capitalist in SF. Back when I was in your shoes at Berkeley, I got 9 offers from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Lazard, BofA, Citi, Deutsche Bank, UBS, Merrill, and Barclays. At Goldman, I was also on the Goldman Sachs Berkeley Recruiting Team, where I screened hundreds of resumes in a stack this big out of 300,000 students every year. Goldman's acceptance rate is less than 1%. But in the next 3 steps, I'm going to show you how to structure and polish your resume so that you get the first round interview with Goldman. If you want more investment banking recruiting tips, definitely hit subscribe. If you want to learn my whole Goldman recruiting system to get the very best offers possible, check out my investment banking bootcamp, link below. 1. How to make a good first impression instantly. You really only have about 2 to 5 seconds to make sure you're either in the yes pile and maybe in the maybe pile, and to make sure you're not in the no pile. To give you some context, when I was on the Goldman Sachs Berkeley Recruiting Team, I would get a stack of resumes about this thick from Berkeley students, about 600 resumes or so. In San Francisco, there were only 12 interns in the whole office from across the country. And then full-time, there were 6 analysts in my class. So you basically have to stand out more than all the other Berkeley students in that huge book, and then in all the other resume books of all the other public and private schools across the country and sometimes the globe. That's why making a good first impression instantly is so important. We're going to look at Presley Shu's resume. We've anonymized it for a first-year student at Berkeley who's one of my subscribers and who won my resume review giveaway. I'm going to put on my Goldman recruiting team hat, and I'm going to look at it from the perspective of if you were applying for the 3rd year summer internship at Goldman Sachs. I know this student's a first year, so we're going to have some gaps, and this will help inform you of what you need to do to fill those gaps. My first impression is just from the formatting perspective, the header just looks kind of funky with the capital L and lowercase emails, the blue, the spacing on education is like not balanced with the spacing here. The line doesn't match the right margin of the text. That's a yellow flag. The spacing here, it's nice that it's packed, but it's just a little lopsided on the bottom, a little too tight versus the top. Formatting is a bit of a yellow flag, but let's look at the content. Everyone in this book goes to Berkeley. It's a good target school on the West Coast. So that's nice. Double in econ stats, so a little more quantitative than the average econ major. GPA. If you have a 4.0, you're going to stand out. If you have a 3.9, that's good. 3.8 is pretty good. 3.7 is average. Clubs, consulting club. Okay, so it seems like this person is a consulting person that maybe threw their name into the hat for banking. So I'm questioning how serious they are about banking. Relevant coursework. This is pretty good. Everyone takes UGBA 10, but hasn't taken accounting or corporate finance yet. Winner of a case comp. That's could be pretty good if it's a legit case comp. Experiences seems more like a consulting resume. It's good that you have this business sense, and I would give these half credit. They're not school projects. They're club projects. I wouldn't call them legit finance internships. Right now, I'd say the student is lacking finance internships, deal related, like investment banking boutique internships or private equity internship. Okay, you have the equity research associate project. Again, that's like a school project. So private equity funds. So if it's May 2025, this would be your 3rd year in high school that summer. So that's good. And then you did sales and marketing intern your sophomore year at a cloud company. So that's good. It seems like this student's on top of things, a little ahead in terms of those internships. And then leading the DECA chapter, I like that. If I'm intrigued, I'll look at the interests. I like how they're into basketball, even though the Timberwolves just beat us in the playoffs, which is terrible. Lifting weights, Netflix, exotic traveling. I'm curious to see where you travel, stocks investing, grill you on that to see how legit you are. And Taco Bell, I love that. That seems really fun. Overall, my first impression is that it's not an auto yes. The GPA is average, and it looks like more of a consulting candidate. I'm questioning how serious they are about investment banking. Work experience, there's no legit deal-related finance internships like a boutique investment bank or a private equity fund. The 3rd year private equity internship, I don't know exactly what that is. And it's not instant no either. Definitely not, because the double in stats, you definitely seem like a smart, hardworking person that's done a lot of good consulting experience. You've won case competitions. You were the DECA president. So that's interesting. If this student submitted their resume their 2nd year in December to Goldman and I was reviewing the book, I would not give them an interview because of the formatting mistakes, the lack of finance internships, and because of the consulting profile. It just doesn't stand out enough to get into that yes pile when there's other students that have, you can tell they've been trying to do banking since they were sophomores in high school. But the good news is this is spring of your first year. So I would say this resume is pretty good given that time frame. And there's things that you can add on and change to get into that yes pile. And I'm going to go over that later in the video. I would put this resume right now in the maybe pile. I would give it about a 7.5. So you really have to make sure your resume is on point, but also make sure you're on point with everything else, every part of the chain, knowing the whole recruiting process for banking, building your whole application, your LinkedIn, your cover letter, in addition to the resume, your networking to actually get the interviews. How do you actually reach out to people? How do you actually chat with them? How do you actually follow up? How do you actually want them to help you to get an interview? How do you prepare for your behaviorals, for your technicals? So if you want to get a basic outline of all that, check out my Investment Banking Recruiting 101 workshop. It's free with the link below. 2, must-have resume metrics. When I was at Goldman flipping through those hundreds of resumes, there were a few key metrics that I looked for in those first few seconds. 1, school. Since over 300,000 students apply to banks like Goldman every year, school is one of the easiest filters to just find quality students that are good at playing the game and good at getting academic success. If it's target, it's a lot easier for you. If it's semi-target, it definitely gets trickier. And if it's non-target, it definitely can be a challenge, but doable. And that's a whole nother topic that I go over in detail in my bootcamp. The second thing is your GPA, another filter that helps to show who's good at playing the game, who's good at getting results in a defined context. 4.0 definitely helps you stand out. A 3.9 is good. A 3.8 is pretty good. 3.7 is average. And that's for easier majors like business or econ. If you have a more technical major like CS, 3.5, 3.4, 3.3, those are okay, acceptable if you have relevant work experience and you've networked well. The third metric is your work experience. Work experience shows how genuinely interested you are in doing investment banking and also what skills you've picked up. By the time you apply in December of your second year for those third year summer analyst jobs, if you have no finance internships, I would say your shot is almost 0% unless your dad's Jamie Dimon. You really got to get at least one legit finance internship. 2 is about average. A top candidate would have about 3 to 4 deal-related internships. That could look like your first year spring an internship, first year summer, your second year fall, and your second year incoming summer internship. Ideally, they're deal-related, so investment banking boutique, private equity, anything where you're doing deals, valuation, modeling, presentations. Consulting or accounting, they're okay, but they're not as good as if you were doing those deal-related internships that are more relevant for investment banking. By the time you apply for investment banking December of your second year, you want to have at least 3 to 4 internships on your resume and ideally deal-related. So things like investment banking at a boutique bank, private equity fund, etc. If you have 0 internships, you probably have a 0% chance of getting an interview unless your dad's like Jamie Dimon or something. 1 finance internship is the bare minimum to be applicable for these internships. Now we're going to get your resume Goldman ready section by section. I'm going to show you the original resume and then the after changes I've suggested. I'm going to give you the high level feedback, but the actual line by line and detailed implementation, it's a lot more than just a short video. If you do want to get personal feedback and to learn really all the line by line details, that's all in my investment banking bootcamp. So if you want to check that out, definitely check it out in the link below. First, we start with the header. So right now it looks okay, but a little unprofessional because the LinkedIn is capital L, it's blue underlined, the email is blue underlined. I would just make those black, no underlined, but keep the LinkedIn hyperlinked. I would suggest trying to make it look more like my Goldman resume format. You can see here my header, nice clean line that the line matches the text. You don't have to put your address, but you can still put your city if you want. If not, just keep your phone number. I would suggest being consistent. Whatever bullets you use down here, use them up top. In Presley's case, using square bullets as well. Moving on to the education section, I would fix the formatting. It's too high. A lot of the spacing is awkwardly spaced. Like here, it's not consistent. So you really have to make sure the spacing is all even here, between the sections. And I can't even tell what's between a section. So you want to use a spacing to delineate each section clearly and be consistent with each section. So if you want, you could just add a space here, but I would suggest making this space narrower between each section. I don't like these lines. They detract from your thesis. It's just extra formatting that people have to go through to understand why you're an awesome candidate with a great GPA, great work experience, cool person to work with. Education, there are a couple of easy fixes you can make, which would be just adding May 2028 here. Your clubs, I would just delete these. Coursework, it's pretty generic. Most students will take this by then. And if you don't have really relevant courses like accounting, corporate finance, investments, I would just delete it. What's most important is your GPA and the work experience. And then you do talk about your clubs already. Awards, interesting. So I would keep that, but maybe this one delete unless you're just using it to fill. But again, try to delete anything that's not adding to your thesis. Don't just put it in there to fluff things up. Here you can say top 10 nationwide instead of out of 70 because 10 out of 70 is not as good at sounding as top 10 nationwide. Now you can see the after. I just basically made it a lot more simple. I would not make it bold. I would just keep awards just normal. Top 10 finalists nationwide, top 2. And then if you did have the entrepreneurship award, I would just specify is like really highlight how special it is. If it's top 2% out of 300 or top 1%, whatever it is. And I added May here. Again, you got to extend this line out, or I would just delete it. Leadership and professional experience. Right now, what I'm seeing from your resume is it's got some good content. You've gotten some rich business experiences as a consultant, project manager for the big EV company, for the big bank, for your equity research club. You did a P internship your third year of high school, second year sophomore, you did the cloud software sales and marketing internship. You were an officer in DECA in high school, all great things. But right now it's more of a consulting resume and you need to make it more of an investment banker resume. So the way you do that is you actually look at the job spec of the role you're applying to. Every job spec will say exactly what they're looking for. Goldman Sachs for TMT investment banking analyst is looking for developing presentations and reports using industry research, researching and using data, performing comprehensive analysis of financial transactions, including pro forma merger scenarios, LBOs, public listing financing alternatives using DCF, public comps, and precedent transaction analyses. So you want to have what I call the money line in the pole position of your resume. This thing here is the most important experience on your whole resume. You want to list the most relevant experiences and bullets as soon as possible, because most of the time people aren't going to make it past this experience before they put you in the no pile. If they put you in the maybe pile, they might even look at 2 or 3, but usually they won't make it so far down. So you really have to pack everything into this first pole position experience. What I suggest is move up your finance experiences first. Your finance club, where you're a board member and an equity research associate. This line here, I adjusted it for you, but performed valuation analyses and conducted equity research on Alibaba. So you can see how I cleaned up board member, delete that. Keep everything consistent. Put this is your firm name. This is your title. So you put board member, comma, equity research associate in your title. And whatever you're doing, I'm not sure what you're doing with your font. So you have to make sure each of these is consistent with each other, the titles. Instead of conducted fundamental equity research and valuation analysis on Alibaba, I just said perform valuation analyses and conducted equity research, because perform valuation analyses is music to a banker's ears. That's like one of the first bullets they're looking for. You want that as the first bullet in your first experience. That's what I call the money line. And then analyze. I just said instead of 5 years spelled out, it's better just, some people say you can spell under 10, you can spell it out, but I think it's easier, more consistent just to use numbers for everything. Instead of key performance indicators, I put KPIs. Some of this is confusing using the Bloomberg terminal via training, so I cut that out. I cleaned up a little bit on the bullet, but you still need to extend this out to the right margin, but don't put fluff in it. Actually use real impactful things. The takeaways I want you to learn from this is, instead of just packing in as much as you can and what you did, just remember, backsolve from what the bankers are looking for and be as economical as possible. Give them the most value per word in each bullet and give them the most value per resume in your resume. You have this other one, perform sensitivity. So since you already said performed in this version, I just said built models, which is action verb bankers love. One thing I want to highlight is your future resume. You're in your first year right now, but when you apply in your second year, in December for the third year summer analyst internship, you're really going to need this on your resume. And I'll show you right now. First, you want to get your first year summer internship. So this student actually has an incoming internship their first year at a big accounting firm this summer. Then you need your second year fall experience, ideally at an investment bank, like a boutique bank. And this is something my bootcamp students have done in 2 weeks. It's definitely doable. And then you want to get your second year incoming summer internship, ideally at a branded firm like a Bullish Bracket, but even an investment bank that's a boutique bank or a private equity fund. Those are all great experiences to have incoming for your second year. This is what you want your resume to look like by the time you apply. Now let's go to the consulting experiences. It's showing this would be great for a consulting job, but even then there's a lot of fluff in here. So the ROI is a little lower than it could be. My big suggestions would be to go to that banker job spec and find those exact money bullets that the higher review algorithm and the bankers are going to look for, and then make sure you put that in your resume as much as you really did and be as honest as possible. So just really match what you did to what they're looking for. This experience is like working in a team, you're doing a bunch of analysis, consulting frameworks, you're conducting cost benefit, you're developing data-driven strategies. So what a banker really wants to hear is, did you conduct market research due diligence? Did you create presentations? Did you analyze the financial impact of a project or perform an evaluation? Did you build any models? So here, instead of working with a diverse team to implement strategic analysis, if you really did, you could say team of 5. So quantify it, have a strong action verb, not a weak one like working with. So strong action verb like led team of 5, and delete all the articles like and the. So led, instead of a team of 5, say team of 5. Be punchy. That's what you want for resume writing and business writing. Team of 5 to conduct data analysis to present strategic reputation for a big electric vehicle company, EMEA facility management, resulting in X% uplift in EBITDA. Analyze financial impact of in-house versus outsourced maintenance, deliver recommendation. Some of this is good, but it's confusing and fluffy. Get more to the point and make it more relevant for the banker. Instead of conducting comprehensive cost benefit analysis, that consulting framework, frame it more as analyzing financial impact of in-house versus outsourced maintenance, delivered recommendation to big EV company, VP of EMEA for region-wide implementation. A lot of the second line stuff is just fluff, cut it out. And another thing is just make all your tenses consistent. Normally you could make this present tense, but since this is past tense and it's the same experience, I would just make them consistent and make this past tense as well. Developing data-driven vendor optimization strategies. So here, by leveraging analytical techniques to identify solutions to improve operational efficiency. So this is a lot of jargon. I would just simplify that to something tangible. Develop data-driven vendor optimization strategies by analyzing ROI from SQL database queries to improve operational efficiency. So it's more straightforward. This is just an example, but fill it in with what you actually did. Then to reduce costs and enhance financial performance, resulting in potential. Now, instead of a soft result, like aligning with company business operation goals and sustainable initiatives, it's very soft and fluffy. I would make it a hard result, resulting in potential 10 million in cost savings over a 2-year period. That's just an example. Put in what you actually did and fill it out to the right margin. Here, conducted in-depth market research. This was a good bullet that shows your market research chops and data analysis chops, which that's what a lot of boutique banks and private equity funds are looking for, someone that can do research on deals and crunch the data. But again, you want to make your resume banker ready. Since they know you probably didn't do too much modeling, the next best thing is to work on presentations. Created 5+ pitch presentations detailing strategic recommendations on how big commercial bank can leverage its heritage across digital platforms and experiential marketing to increase brand relevance and engagement with Gen Z. Presented 40+ slide deliverable in the BCB headquarters in San Francisco. And I would actually delete so deliverable in BCB headquarters in San Francisco. And I would try to extend this to the right margin as much as you can. Then you can talk about your research bullet. In the new version, conducted in-depth market research, streamline it and make it a little more clear. The old version is like a lot of fluff. Develop 5+ strategic recommendations on how BCB can leverage its heritage across digital platforms and experiential marketing. The original bullet was collaborate with BCB to evaluate how its history can be reframed to resonate with Gen Z audiences through surveying 200+ of the Gen Z population on campus, providing insights into which historical aspects to emphasize or de-emphasize for stronger brand alignment towards Gen Z. So that's just a mouthful. No one has time to go through that. It's good stuff. I simplified it to create a survey of 200+ Gen Z students at Berkeley to help BCB evaluate what historical brand aspects to highlight or adjust for Gen Z brand positioning. You can play with that. If you have a better result, I would add that in. This student did their 3rd year in high school. So it's great that you have that experience. I would beef it up. So this is a 2-line bullet and it's pretty fluffy. Assisted with evaluating over 10 investment opportunities and supported the structuring of deals worth over $25 million, contributing to strategic negotiations with private equity syndicates, which directly resulted in successful investments across 3 high potential private equity investment deals. Streamline that to 1 bullet. Assisted with evaluating 10 plus Series B deals in the AI ops sector. Specify the type of deal, the stage, and the sector, and support structuring of deals worth over $25 million. I like that, how you quantify it. And I simplify it, resulting in 3 closed deals. Streamline financial reporting, reducing preparation time by roughly 20%, and conducted due diligence and market research on 5 deals. Those are like 2 bullets. The streamlining the financial reporting and then conducting due diligence. So I would make a second and third bullet. Conducted due diligence and market research on 5 plus deals using PitchBook and Morningstar Wealth. It's great to show the software that you use, especially PitchBook, identifying key growth sectors and 5 investments. Streamline financial reporting by doing XYZ, reporting, reducing monthly preparation time by roughly 20%, and then fill this out to the right margin. Your cloud company experience is great as your sophomore internship. It's great that you have that experience. That'll play well if you want to go for like TMT. One thing I did was instead of 25 million spelled out, I just simplified it to 25 big M. It just makes everything more punchy. Again, higher ROI per word, per bullet, per resume. I didn't touch this first bullet too much. It was good. I like how you quantified. Optimize sales operations. This one's very confusing and you combine a lot of things in there. So I split it into 3 bullets. Okay. So I simplified it to optimize sales conversion. I expanded on it. I broke it out and I expanded it to show more depth in terms of what you actually did and what you know about the sales process. So optimize sales operations by documenting each step of the customer journey from demand gen, qualification, demo to sales conversion. Then build consensus with cross-functional teams to implement targeted multi-channel marketing campaigns, resulting in 250% increase in customer engagement. Overall in the DECA, it's great that you were an officer and that you led a chapter of over 250 students. There was a lot of things you combined and it just gets confusing. My overall bullets, you can look at the details, were making it easier to understand. Never start with a noun, always start with action verbs. Instead of InvestX, I said manage financial portfolio at InvestX. I just made it more punchy and clear. If you need space, you can make some of these 1-line bullets since it is lower on your resume. Then the last section for skills and interests, I like how you show relevant skills. Capitalizing is fine in this case since you're being consistent. You might want to delete consulting so you can really turn it into more of a finance-focused resume. Your interests. This part is the time for you to shine. You really want to show that you're passionate, you're curious, you're an interesting, cool person, someone that they would want to hang out with. Everyone always talks about the airport test. If you're at an airport stranded for 6 hours for a layover, would they be looking forward to hanging out with you? You really want to make sure your interests show your passion, your curiosity, and practically they're conversation starters with your interviewer. You want to leave these little crumbs for the interviewer to want to pick up on and want to chat with you about. That's how you build a lot of rapport and get to know each other. And then they're like, oh, this person's cool. They're good. Yeah, let's hire them. I like how you're talking about the Timberwolves. I don't like how they beat the Warriors in the playoffs. Man, we need more help for a step. But lifting weights shows that you're athletic. Netflix TV shows, I wouldn't put that unless you really are passionate about TV, film, and can talk about it. Exotic traveling, that's cool. Definitely make sure you can back that up so it's not over exaggerating. Just make sure it's really backed up. Piano, that's good. I would try to give a little bit more depth to it if you can. Stocks investing, that's good. Just be ready to be grilled or just to chat about it because people want to geek out about it. And then Taco Bell, it's always good. Everyone always loves Taco Bell. That one made me smile when I saw it. Overall, I would streamline this and show 5 of your top passions. For example, instead of piano, you can say piano, parentheses, Rachmaninoff's Fifth Movement, Allegro, to show the depth and to give more of a conversation starter and to also fill the line to the right margin. Overall, this resume is about 7.5. If it was for your 3rd-year analyst role, you wouldn't get the yes because, as we mentioned, you want to fill in the work experience with your 1st-year summer, your 2nd-year fall at a boutique bank, and your 2nd-year incoming summer finance internship. And then you want to fix all the formatting. I was just using a template like my Goldman template. Link below if you want to download it. The resume is just one tiny piece of the whole puzzle. Networking plays a huge part in terms of whether you get that interview. Having a good resume will get you part of the way there. But when I was evaluating these resumes at Goldman, it's like, oh, it's a good resume and they've networked with me. I know them. They're good. and they've chatted with Jane and Joe, and we all like this person. So yeah, let's bring them in for a first round interview. Beyond networking, you really want to get your behaviorals, your technicals, really understand your exact plan of action to bring this all together to get the offer so that you stand out relative to everyone else at your school or the 300,000 other people that apply every year. That's why I created my investment banking bootcamp. It will teach you exactly step-by-step how I got to Goldman Sachs and how I've helped students get to Goldman Sachs. If you're interested, definitely check out the link below for my investment banking bootcamp. If you want to see my actual Goldman resume, I do a step-by-step, line-by-line walkthrough in this video here. And if you want to download the template, you can check it out below. Love yourself, love others, have an awesome day.